So here we got both teams for the week matchup. There is my team. I am Tago. It's Tago. That's all you're going to get. And the other side is Clay. And so Clay is a really, really exceptional player. Lots of respect for him in that regard. Also a really great guy. Lots of respect for him in that regard too. And this is what the matchup looks like overall. So in terms of what I am really scared of Garchomp. I'm scared of Aegislash offensively. Those two are really threatening. A mixed Garchomp with like Surf or something like that can do a lot to Gliscor. Earthquake does a whole bunch to Cinderace, Tyrantrum, Ninetales, Banette, Hoopa, and it outspeeds a lot of my team too. In terms of all the Pokemon that I have at 92 speed, there are only 3 I think I have that are able to outspeed it naturally, and that is Cinderace, Ninetales, and Gliscor, and I'm only bringing one of those. So that's something that is really threatening. But we are able to deal with it offensively. Once Venomoth gets to +1, Bug Buzz or a Sludge Bomb is going to be able to chip it down a lot. As soon as he's Mega Evolved, Gliscor is able to outspeed it pretty nicely, heal it with an Ice Fang if it's at +2 from full, so we'll be able to do a lot to his team. But Aegislash, we really have no defensive checks to, and a lot of our game plan is going to be around trying to prevent it from even coming in. So if I was to predict who he's going to bring, I was originally thinking Garchomp, Clefable, Moltres, Gigalith, Skuntank, and Aegislash. I think that is 6. Yeah, that is 6. And there is a possibility of Aerodactyl, Virizion, and Rotom Frost as well. A lot of my game plan is going to be centered around trying to bait in the Skuntank early with Mega Banette, and then kill it with Destiny Bond, but we'll see how that is able to go. So we're going to hop into the team builder. So it's raining right now, and I just spent like 5 minutes just looking out the window with a longing look. So you know how in those movies, there's always like that person who sees someone else looking out the window rather, when it's raining and it's supposed to be really emotional and sentimental and I don't know, it just has a lot of significance, usually carried behind by some just moving and emotional music. And I realized that I've never had an experience like that before. So I thought that I would give that experience to someone else. Just in case, you know? Just spend some time just looking out the window, and hopefully I help them come to some sort of emotional epiphany. But that might might not be the case. So anyways, we're here talking about the BDL Week 2 team rundown, and I finally put together some graphics for this, so from now on, hopefully it won't be so crude. But in the first slot here, we've got Tyrantrum, and this is a recent pickup of the team. I think he's the only new member that we ended up bringing, and this week was all about setup. It was about me trying to get Gliscor or get Hoopa or get Venomoth or Tyrantrum at some sort of boost or in a position where they're able to deal a lot of damage and then really be able to fire off hits. So Tyrantrum here is basically want to get up a DD, hopefully going to hit the head smash, use an Earthquake to be able to get some damage off, and then Outrage to just hit stuff as hard as I can. If any of his Dragon resists or his Fairy type, which is Outrage immunity, are out of the way. And so it pretty much is there just for that. The EV spreads are max attack to be able to just deal as much damage as possible. 248 speed with a Jolly Nature, and that is just so that we have enough speed that at +1 we're able to outspeed an Aerodactyl, which Clay did have on his team. And just the rest of the EVs into HP for a little bit of extra bulk. Life Orb was for, again, just extra damage. Now we're moving on to Banette. So I figured that the Hoopa answer that was going to come this week would be Skuntank. And so I wanted to use Banette to be able to bait in Skuntank and try to force a 1-for-1. Infestation is there to kind of trap him. Protect is to disable or just sort of scout what he's going to be able to go for. And then Destiny Bond is there so that Skuntank is always going to be forced into a 1-for-1 trade, or it was supposed to be there for that. Unfortunately, I didn't end up clicking it, and I really misplayed the Banette. And anytime that I do bring Destiny Bond, because Banette is fairly slow, you normally want to minimize the EVs that you have in speed, click Destiny Bond, and then an attacking move, and then Destiny Bond, and then an attacking move. And because of the Prankster ability, Destiny Bond usually goes first, the attacking move usually goes last. And so if your opponent is going to hit you and kill you, then that means that they are going to be trading their own lives for that attack. So in the game, I actually don't end up clicking Destiny Bond. I protect to scout the foul play. I click Curse on a dark type and didn't realize that it was a targeted move, but it didn't work, and I lost my Banette, getting a total of, I think, like 6% chip after the opponent's Black Sledge recovery on the Skuntank. But the goal of it was to try to bait in Skuntank and then trade 1-for-1 so that the room was cleared for Hoopa. Didn't end up working that way though. Now we have Gliscor, the GOAT, the absolute champion of this team, and honestly the mon that won me the game. So it's max attack, sword stance with 3 attacks. The Toxic Orb gives it enough healing that it doesn't really need any recovery move, especially when it's being used offensively like this. It has enough speed to be able to outspeed Mega Garchomp by 1 point and KO it with Ice Fang at +2. Facade is there just because since it is poisoned, it's 140 base power move and has a lot of damage it can deal. And then Earthquake is just there as a stab move to be able to hit Gigalith super effectively, hit Skuntank super effectively, and hit just mods in general. And this guy is the kill leader in BDL. After 2 weeks, has 9 kills. The absolute GOAT. Such a great first round pickup, and it's really been giving my opponents the business. Hoopa is the one we got next. This guy's just a really big threat for most opposing teams, and that's exactly the case this time. We have a good amount of investment into bulk, and then speed reducing quiet nature, plus, is it quiet? I actually can't remember now, but plus attack, minus speed, a good amount into bulk. You can see even without max special attack investment, it's still hitting 462, which is ridiculous. And then we just have dual stab and thunderbolt to be able to hit the Skuntank if I wasn't able to get rid of it, or if I had gotten some chip off on it. But the goal of this was basically to live some sort of attack and get off Trick Room, and then in the Trick Room be able to just hit super hard. Tangaberry was a consumable, so that if Moltres was to U-turn on it, he would get, instead of dealing 4 times more damage, it would only deal 2 times more damage. And with the bulk, it definitely wouldn't kill, even if he was, for some reason, max attack. And then you'd be able to set up the Trick Room and start just hitting stuff as hard as you can. Losing the Tangaberry also means that with Magician, the next thing that you attack, you steal the item from them, which if Hoopa had ended up stealing the Black Sludge from Skuntank would have really been bad, but in my mind when I was prepping for it, I was like, oh yeah, that's fine, it's not a big deal. Would not have been fine. Okay. Slowbro, the next mon of the team. This was here to eat up a couple of hits, has the Citrus Berry to be able to live 2 Leaf Blades from Scarf Virizion and try to threaten it out to get off a Future Sight. Teleport is there to be able to teleport out into something that can threaten. Once you did use the Future Sight, Ice Beam to hit the Garchomp and then Slack Off just for recovery. This is another mon that was trying to bait in the Skuntank, or to bait in some of the Psychic Resist, so that Hoopa would be able to come in later set up the trick room, and really just deal damage and break through things. And so the general goal of this team is just to get as much chip, hurt everything that you can, threaten some of the bigger threats that aren't able to be OHKO'd and bait them in, and then clean sweep with either Gliscor, Venomoth, Tyrantrum, or Hoopa. And so they each have been kind of breaking for each other, and then finally in the ending was hoping for one of them to just clean up all the kills. Venomoth here had enough speed to be able to outspeed Aerodactyl at +1, same as the Tyrantrum, and it had Sleep Powder so that it's able to try to set up Quiver Dances on something that might be slower than it, like Gigalith or like other mons. Quiver Dance to be able to get that boost to speed, special attack, and then also a bit more special bulk. And then Bug Buzz and Sludge Bomb are just the 2 stabs. Rarely does Venomoth need anything else. Maybe you swap one of those out for Psychic or Giga Drain, but with the Tinted Lens ability, even resisted hits are really not resisted hits. And so it's going to be able to just fire off those attacks, deal really big damage, and really threaten Clay's team. So that's pretty much the team. We're going to go into the game now. See you guys there. Here we are in the battle. Clay did end up bringing a lot of stuff that I expected, but he didn't have the Aegislash. And so I was able to spend less time worrying about what to do defensively and just focus on offense. So because I wanted to bring in the Skuntank from turn 1, threaten the Will-O-Wisp, threaten the Gunk Shot on Clefable, knock off on Moltres, pretty much anything like that, I end up leading Banette. And so we have Banette in, Mega Evolve and fire off the Infestation, just like we wanted to be able to trap the Skuntank, Protect to be able to scout, thinking he might go for a Toxic, and then here we make a terrible mistake clicking Curse on the Skuntank that's immune to targeted Prankster moves. So that had no effect on him. We didn't end up getting any chip from the Curse being activated, and instead he just clicks Foul Play and we lose our Banette. Now if you remember the moveset that we talked about earlier, it did have Destiny Bond, and I think the best thing for me to do in that scenario would have been to click Destiny Bond on a potential Foul Play. If he had clicked it on the first turn, maybe he wasn't expecting it, maybe he had forgotten about it, and it would have been better for me to just get that potential trade than go for something that I wasn't even sure was going to work. But anyways, moving on from that, pretty big misplay. At this point, I think I'm going to lose the game. Gliscor comes out, and I set up an SD, so the reason I don't just attack here, I could click Earthquake anticipating the Clefable. Moltres is what I was expecting to come in case he was anticipating something else. I think that him going into Clefable here was actually a misplay because I could have gotten an Earthquake off, but maybe he's expecting some sort of Toxic stall Gliscor, and so he goes into the Clefable to try to absorb that Toxic instead of catching it with the Moltres potentially. But I could have gone for a Facade as kind of a mid-ground to try to hit both of these, but I didn't want to reveal that quite yet, and I was also worried about getting a burn on a potential Flame Body from Moltres, and so I just avoided doing anything, just click the Swords Dance and proc the Toxic Orb for Poison Heal. Swap out into Bro to deal with this. Okay, so going into Venomoth here, we want to try to threaten out the Clefable, get some damage and maybe a poison off on something. Because it's Tinted Lens, I'm able to just click Sludge Bomb here without being too worried. And so I do just go for the Sludge Bomb, hoping to get the poison, don't get it. Will-O-Wisp fails. And I end up getting fully parried a few times here on the Slowbro. So like I said, there's that first Leaf Blade, pops the Citrus Berry. I might have just barely messed up the calcs, but I believe that he would have lived 2. 62%, yeah, would have barely just lived 2. And so the future sight is to try to threaten him into something else. And so at this point, I'm thinking, okay, I have the opportunity to be able to set up with Venomoth, knowing that something else is going to take damage. Quiver Dance here. I get a Sleep Powder on the Gigalith, and then I'm able to get damage off by just starting to click Bug Buzz, and then Sludge Bomb is able to knock it out this current turn after the Sand Chip. So even up the score. He brings out Virizion, and I'm expecting a Zen Headbutt here, because when we had done Mox, that's something that I was had faced KJ, and he ended up bringing, and so I'm thinking, perfect, I can bring in Hoopa, get a Trick Room off, and then start to do a lot of damage. Even if the Skuntank does try to hit me with the Foul Play, it's actually not going to hurt that much, but I was very wrong, because he used the Stone Edge. I didn't notice that he had crit. You can see that the crit did only 55% of my HP, and so I kind of wasted this opportunity to be able to get up a Trick Room and start doing some damage with this, and I swap out into Slowbro. So in this position, I think he's expecting me to maybe fire off a Scald or a Thunder Wave or something like that, but I'm just going to teleport out here, get some damage off on the Clefable with a Sludge Bomb, and at this point I'm just looking to chip down his team. So I keep firing off Sludge Bomb. 29 there, get fully parried this turn, and then he wakes up and kills me with the Stone Edge. Now, this is where I'm thinking I need to try to chip this down or threaten out something. Maybe I'll be able to get a sweep with the Tyrantrum here if I'm able to kill this with a Life Orb Earthquake. I set up a DD, and Body Press does 54, which should have told me that he was pretty defensive, but I didn't end up calcing that, and so I think Earthquake is just going to kill it. Either way, at this point, I don't have much else to do other than just go for the damage. So I click the Earthquake, chip him down, miss out on the KO, and then he goes for the Body Press. Gliscor comes in, and at this point, I'm seeing my win condition is perfectly lined up. I have the Gigalith in front of me, which I'm able to set up a Swords Dance on guaranteed. I know that Garchomp and Virizion are both faster, but I'm hoping that they don't have anything to hit me, or that the Garchomp's gonna Mega Evolve, and I know that I have to go for the win here, or it's a guaranteed loss, because I'm not able to set up in front of anything else. Clefable might have Ice Beam in the back. Skuntank is going to be able to Foul Play after I Swords Dance and either KO or almost KO me. Virizion is Scarfed, and if he's able to lock into Leaf Blade and I'm already chipped down, that's a really big problem. And then I know that Garchomp is going to be slower once it Mega Evolves, but it is faster before it Mega Evolves, and I'm still concerned about that. So, I Swords Dance here, he goes for the Stone Edge, connects it, but with the Toxic Orb I'm able to get enough healing. Earthquake gets the first KO. Then he brings in Garchomp, and he Mega Evolves. So something that we talked about later was that this was a misplay. When he Mega Evolved, he went to 311 speed, as opposed to being, I think, 333 or something like that otherwise. And I EV'd to be able to hit 312 speed, so I'm faster than this. He had Aqua Tail, and an Aqua Tail from max attack regular Garchomp would have done about between 50 to 60, which would have left me at roughly 45 after the Toxic Orb, or the Poison Recovery. Then Virizion might have come in. It could have potentially crit the Leaf Blade, or at that point gotten a Worry Seed off, and then he might have been able to bring the game back. But instead he Mega Evolves here, dies to the 4 times effective Ice Fang. Second kill. The Worry Seed, really cool tech. That means that my Toxic Heal is no longer healing me, and so I'm starting to take damage. Earthquake kills the Skuntank, and then Earthquake or Facade kills the Clefable, and we're able to clean up that game with Gliscor securing its position as kill leader after last week. So GG to Clay, really close game. I was really worried about facing him and facing Clay, just because he is a very good player. Hope you guys enjoyed. See ya at the next one. Bye-bye.